The Jeremy White Podcast. Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
The Jeremy White Podcast.
With BOUSTAN. For the best Lebanese cuisine in Montreal, it's got to be BOUSTAN. Visit boustan.ca.
And loudtracks.com. Helping fans connect to their favourite artists. 100% high quality, officially licensed, band merchandise that supports the artists you love. Visit our official band merch store at loudtracks.com. Watch the Jeremy White Podcast exclusively on YouTube.
Well, this is
nice
cool.
to meet you outside of social media.
Twitter. Yeah, outside of Twitter.
I know, right? Outside of Twitter, it's like cool to actually talk to somebody like not in person, but like kind of face to face as opposed to just.
I think I friended you on Facebook yesterday. I hope it was you. I saw you, a mutual friend of a friend, and they had the same name as you, and it looked like a rocker guy, but I'm not sure if it was you.
I don't think it was me. I think you added some rando.
Oh, great. That's all I need.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But he's
You added some creepy stalker fan, probably.
oh god.
You know.
Like that guy who sent you that picture the other day. Oh my god.
Yeah, I have to stop talking to strangers, which is really hard. Oh, I never talked to that guy, not the one in the yellow underwear.
Oh, the dick pic dude?
Yeah, he's a total random. I don't know where he came from.
That
Yeah,
I just added you as a friend on Facebook. I just found you.
There you go. All right, so we'll quickly talk the book, but I wanted to also talk about that tweet you sent out, and I've been trying to find it. Was it deleted, or is it just like so
Which
far?
tweet?
The one that you had, where you I don't want to.
Yeah, you were kind of like slamming the industry, saying, like, I'm so tired of people wanting other people to work for free.
Yeah. I know. And then the next day I went and booked a movie, but I don't know if the movie's ever going to happen. And it's a lead and it's very well paying. And but I don't know because of COVID. It's now the second movie I've booked during the pandemic that I don't know if it's going to happen. Are we recording? Because I have some things to say about it.
Oh yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the problem, it's very similar to the music industry, what goes on, in the entertainment industry, in the world of acting in particular, is that it's kind of like, when it comes to music, you've got like the few big record deals and the few, and then everybody else is a small fry, so now we have like, the major network studios, and then we have all kinds of independent things, which originally we thought this is going to be great because there's so much more work now, for actors, because we've got all these TV channels, all these independent channels like Netflix and Amazon, and
you've got all the different streaming services, and it's like there's so many out there.
The problem is, then it's diluted. It's kind of like bands that are up and coming, and then they can't get recognized anymore because there's so many outlets. It's not like in the old days where there was just radio and you had your favorite station. Like, it's hard to even find music. Anyway, and then never mind getting paid, which brings me to, there might be, before COVID, there was more work, but then they don't have any budget, so yeah. So
let me stop you for a second. I want to ask Jeremy, because he works in Montreal's #1 station. How does an indie artist get on your station, Jeremy?
It's entirely impossible, and I'll tell you why.
Did you just say impossible?
It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because a radio station I work on, okay, we are a hot adult contemporary station. It's very rhythmic leaning, and every song that we play is meticulously selected and tested through focus groups and people that actually listen to the station, and that determines what songs we play.
Hold on, one sec. I want to ask you one thing, because we know about the focus groups and the marketing. I come to you with a new single, and I have the new Post Malone in my pocket. Does he get a pass because he's Post, or from the day I give it, there's like a 2-week period, or like how long is the process for something to get through all the hoops?
Yeah, so Post Malone would totally get a pass if the song is really good. Okay. Ariana Grande, for example, she drops a brand new song. We're probably going to play it. So-and-so from Montreal, maybe not, because, it's the star power. Also, there's a lot of different rules when it comes to radio versus, stream. And it's weird because now there's so much competition, whether it's on-demand services or radio. radio has all these rules and regulatory things that we have to kind of meet, you know, playing X amount of music by this type of artist, you know, like especially in Canada, you got the CanCon rules. It's all Canadian content. In Montreal, we have non-hit rules. So if you're an upcoming artist trying to make a dent and get some radio play, because radio still pays a lot of money. And like, if you can get, you know, say 20 stations nationally that report to BDS and, you know, all the reporting services, you can make a good living just off, you know, a handful of stations that are spinning
Tell
your
me
record.
how that works. How you mean? I thought, okay, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm, you know, back in the Stone Ages probably.
But
But
we're
I
also
thought-
talking
I thought
Canada
the
versus
reason
the
to-
States. It's a little bit different here.
No, it's actually not really. It's not really
no?
different
Okay.
though. No, it's all the same system. You know, like, so the way the artists get paid by radio play is that there's, you know, you know, like ASCAP and like all those like unions and like, you know, they have the publishing and stuff. They receive a report from the radio stations of, you know, every single song we play goes into a database and it's logged and it's like, there's paperwork. And then we have to report, the station reports the revenue that they've made. And then the publishers get a percentage of the revenue that the station's made based on how many spins their songs got on the station. So if the station makes $1 million a month, and say Post Malone gets X amount of spins, you know, if it's in heavy rotation, it could be played, you know, 60 times a week, 60 times 4, based on the percentage on one station. That's a lot of money compared to all the other stations around the world that's getting spun on. If you're a big artist on a major label getting that type of rotation and that many spins, you're making a lot of money. Whereas a small independent artist that can't get that kind of spin rotation on a station, and especially on the amount of stations, it's not going to pay as much. And that's pretty much how it works. I couldn't believe it when the music department explained everything to me. I was like, so you have to report your revenue, and then they take a cut of your revenue based on how many spins it is. And they were like, yeah.
And who regulates this so you can make sure everything's honest?
Well, in the States, it's
I mean,
the
if they're a
FCC.
union, like it's comparable to being an actress and being in the Screen Actors Guild, then we get residuals every time something is aired.
Yeah. So in Canada, there's a organization called SOCAN. So we report to SOCAN. In the States, it's ASCAP and like all those different, companies.
Yeah, BMI.
Yeah. So, you know, the publishing house, but it's like the ASCAP, like the artists, the union and stuff, like who is in charge of like the publishing and all that stuff. So it all goes through them. But yeah, there's big money in radio play. And that's why artists still care about radio. You know, they'll talk shit all they want online, saying, oh, radio doesn't matter. I had 1 million streams on Spotify, but you're probably going to make $20 off that. Whereas on radio, you can actually make a living. So. But now let me ask you this in movies, because we were just talking about it, and you got a couple of movies in the pipeline, and you know they may or may not happen. When it comes to movies, say you make a movie, okay, and they don't necessarily pay you a whole lot, but then you get back end on that. And if it does really well, what could back end in reality pay?
For one line on a network TV show, I had one line on 2.5 Men. I paid, it's tens of thousands of dollars by now. I think my day rate was $600 a day back then. It was a union show. I think I worked maybe 3 days that week and didn't think anything of it. And it just that episode was huge. I mean, they played all over the world. When I was in Ireland the summer before last, everywhere I went, they're like, the 2.5 Men girl. You know, I got a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the other
I
thing.
had never even heard of the show when I did it.
But I want to stop you there, because you just said that, you know, your day rate was $600 to go and read one line on a TV
That's
show.
union though. It's a union rate. They have to pay you that much.
Yeah, but that's like that's the minimum they have to pay you.
Yes, and that's what, you know, they all have these standards, and then you get residuals on top of it, which makes everything else worth doing. And it's not easy money. Like, it sounds very easy when I say it, but I probably went on 300 other auditions before I got that one.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of work for nothing. And, you know, in the olden days when I started, before Instagram and reality TV and all these things came in and kind of infiltrated the business, it was all really great. Like, it was all, it was worth it.
It was lucrative.
Really worth it. Yeah. And then everything changed because, agents started to get cut out of the business, where like for modeling, my day rate was $3,000. So, and then they could negotiate buyouts and all this. And then once Instagram came out and people had their own websites and things, people would just go straight to the artist and make a deal. And then next thing you know, people are working, for $150 instead of $3,000. And then,
or just working for the exposure.
Yeah. Just to say they're a whatever model, Instagram model, whatever.
Well, you see, and that's happened in the news reporting stuff. When we had magazines, I was getting, $200, $300, $400 an article. And then they went online and they were like, well, we got your name out there. And it's like, right, but I can't pay the rent with you got my name out there.
Well, that's the other thing,
it used to be where I'd go on a million auditions, and an actor did commercial auditions because you averaged $50,000 for a commercial by the time you got all the residuals. So that supported you, because theatrical jobs usually get one every 6 months, and that's considered doing well. So that would carry you through. But then when everything started to change, these commercials are now non-union. They hire just anybody. The last time I actually got talked into doing one, it was a Little Caesars pizza. And I figured I was making $50,000. Well, they offered me $1,000. I said no. Then they said $1,500, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm not doing anything else today. But I ended up missing 2 theatrical callbacks that day, though, from major network shows, and they don't give you a second chance. So you know what? I could have, had a career-making role that day, and instead I wasted my time on that job. And that's why the job should pay a lot of money to make it worth your risk. A lot of people probably don't understand that. Unless you're in the industry, you wouldn't really understand it. Eventually I just said, no, I just won't do commercials anymore because of that. Of course, now everything's different. Everybody's auditioning online, but
but I want to bring it back just real quick to the journalism thing, just to get it out of my own system. But more and more people now start up their own podcast, start up their own thing, and they send it off to these websites, and they're like, hey, you saw my name on this. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not helping all of us by throwing out your content for free. If all of us stood together and said, no, we need to have minimally $50 an article or something,
well, here's my whole take on it.
Right.
For example, my day job is I'm a top 40 radio DJ.
Yes.
And
we're one in Montreal. I always have to say that for you.
Yes, thank you. At least if you say it, it's better. So my whole thing is that with starting this podcast, I wanted to be able to talk to people like you, Carrie, about cool topics like this and behind the scenes stuff in the industry, talk to artists that I grew up loving. And I really started it as a passion project. I didn't intend it to become, replace my day job or anything. And I started to realize that oh, wow, I've been interviewing everybody for the radio station. I've interviewed everybody from Lady Gaga to Dua Lipa to Ed Sheeran, all these the top 40 major stars. Never once have I ever been covered in the press. I started this podcast. My Gene Simmons interview gets covered in Rolling Stone Brazil, and it gets picked up in so-and-so and all these different websites. And I thought it was so cool. But then I thought to myself, well, wait a second. My entire interview has just been transcribed in an article. That doesn't give anybody any reason whatsoever to go and click on my actual video or my interview and actually watch the content.
Correct.
And which allows me to monetize it by ads on YouTube or whatever it may be. So they're taking away potential revenue from me.
Correct.
In turn, they are monetizing our content as creators who have gone out of our way to book the interviews, do the interviews, edit the interviews.
It's not fair. Anybody that's getting a profit needs to share it with who helped them get that profit.
That's
absolutely.
It's just highway robbery. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And I've worked very hard. I'm aging myself, but almost 30 years now, almost. Yeah, no, actually 30, yes.
By the way, I'm the oldest person in the room, so you're fine, both of you.
Okay, well, the point is, at this point in my career, look, I'm not Julia Roberts, I'm not Cindy Crawford, but I've been working really hard for 30 years. And I don't believe that anybody should come to me and ask me to do something for free, in a movie or a TV set or anything, because that is what I do for a living.
Yeah, it's not a hobby, it's a career. And I've tried to explain it to a couple of my friends who also do podcasts. They're like, oh, did you see my name in X website? Or, oh, so website covered me and my article, my interview with so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, but dude, they just stole your content and they monetized it and not giving you a kickback or paying you for the work. They're stealing your content and then monetizing it. It's not fair and it's not right.
Crazy. Well, I'm just gonna, because I told you I would bitch when I talk to you about this, so I'm gonna bitch.
Yeah.
Go for it.
What really pisses me off more than anything now is the commercial audition process. Some theatricals, but mostly commercials. Now, listen to this bullshit. What they want you to do is come up with the fucking ad for them. So now, like, you're supposed to be the writer. You have to. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. So now they're gonna have like 100 actors or more audition, and then they're gonna just, whoever had the great idea creatively, they'll steal your improv bit and then hire somebody with a different look and put them in it. And now you're the advertising copywriter. And like, it just,
you're the agency. You're like creating the ad for them, and then they just take it and then.
Oh, and then the new thing now since COVID, they actually want you to film things yourself. SAG actually finally put its stop on this, but the producers were trying to get us to shoot things ourselves and then sign off that they have the rights to it. Even a Michael Bay film had me do this, a Michael Bay film. So they and I'm just like, oh great. So now I'm the DP, the director of photography. I'm the makeup artist. I'm the lighting guy. I'm the sound tech, and I'm writing the project too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not getting anything. I just signed my life away. And like I said, I did that for a Michael Bay movie during the pandemic, and then SAG sent us all a letter and said, that's against whatever
union rules, because all those union jobs that are not getting hired.
Mostly commercials now are going non-union, and that's one big reason I won't do them, because they get away with murder. I mean, there's no labor laws. They don't have to give you residuals. It's a flat fee, and if I was on set, they could work me for 20 hours and not feed me. At least when you're union, there's rules. And then, the pay thing, it really does hurt everybody. Some of these jobs when I was in like 30 years ago, the first thing I did when I was like an extra on a film, it was $100 a day. And now I've been offered that for actual commercials. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You want me to drive to Hollywood and audition for it. And then you want me to maybe get a call back and then do a job that pays that little. I mean, it's insane. Why even do it?
It's insane. And I was just interviewing this guy. He's actually from Montreal last week. He is the session guitar player for Maroon 5 and David Guetta. He, like the song Titanium. I am Titanium with Sia. God. He's the guitar player on that. And we were talking about how that works. And he's like, dude, I just get my day rate. And then I get I have like some performance rights on that, but it does pay, but not as much. So he's like, I could get $300 for a session, and then that song could get over 1 billion views on YouTube and make millions of dollars. And I'm the guy playing the riff, but I'm going to make pennies I can't monetize
residuals. I can't monetize my YouTube because I have movies and TV shows that belong to other
people.
Companies, so they've got the copyright, so I don't bother with it anyway.
But again, and I'll finish on the whole writer thing, but like you're saying, I'm the show booker. I have to book my own guests. I have to write the own questions. I have to pay for the infrastructure. And I
promote it. Look what you do all day long too. Like when I see your posts and I'm like, oh my God, like when does he have time to breathe?
Yeah,
I know. I don't have time to breathe. I'm 24 hours. I'm 24 hours a day. And I went to a couple of the websites. It's the curfew alert.
Is that an Amber Alert?
It's the curfew alert because Quebec is in a curfew. I turned my phone off.
You have one every day? You have a curfew alert like every day?
Well, yeah.
Well, it just came in. It just came into effect today. But go on.
Just to get over to it, these sites, they a couple of the big sites, and I'm not going to name their names, but they take your content And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, it's really nice that you transcribed everything and you took my content, and could you pay me? And instead of paying, they've banned me from there. So they don't use my content anymore. And it's just like, well, wait a minute.
They blacklist you.
I know the sites you're talking about without you having to say them.
And they blacklisted me, but they're horrible.
Yeah.
Because
but then they're uninteresting. Like their whole medium is uninteresting.
it is. And I'll tell you, the owner of this magazine in Toronto that became this website out in Toronto, he would always tell me how poor he is. First of all, he's living in Toronto, which is the highest,
most expensive place in Canada.
Most expensive real estate. So the magazine and the website is obviously doing good enough to live in Toronto. But then they would fly off to Wacken in Germany, the big festival, or fly off to, Arizona to record the new Rob Halford. And they'd say, wow, we get to write it off and the magazine pays for it. And it's like, wait a minute, you just told me you don't have $50 for an article, but you can go spend a week in Arizona. And it's just like, you made that profit on my work.
Yeah, Mitch, when I was, I think it was a while ago now, maybe like a decade ago, when I was looking for, alternatives to, the acting industry going downhill. And so I took a magazine writing course at UCLA, and I decided I was going to do that. And I did, I wrote for 2 online magazines, and neither one of them paid me. And then I got sick of it.
But you got exposure. How exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
by the way, let's give some exposure to the book. Whoops, it's there it is. Oh, it's not coming through. Anyway, it's called Unrated Revelations of a Rock and Roll Centerfold with Carrie Stevens. I have it. I've read it. It is terrific. Make sure you buy it. Jeremy, I'll lend you my copy if you need.
Yeah, I do.
Though we're not allowed to see each other because of all the restrictions.
Yeah.
Are you near each other in Canada?
Yeah, we're like 25 minutes from each other.
Right, but we're literally not allowed to visit each other because he lives on the Indian reservation. So I don't think I'm allowed at all on your land.
No, you are. You are,
really?
But it's a thing. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever.
Well, my audiobook is supposed to be out like any minute. So when it is, I'll give you a link to it.
Well, I hope you're narrating it.
Yes, of course I did. I did it back in November. It's been done for a while. It just takes a really long time to, it took forever to get Amazon to approve it. And then I'm going to waste my time bitching about that. You guys will think I do nothing but bitch, but
no, we like people that bitch.
Easy. Let's put it that way.
But you know what? The cool thing about bitching is that it actually gives and it shines a light on all the bullshit that goes on in the industry.
But
and it helps people realize that it's not just superstardom and everything's all cool in the gang. It's like shit goes on and people get ripped off.
I spent like all morning adding up all my bills and my overhead and freaking out going, oh fuck, I've got to like sell my house. And I'm going, I cannot work any harder than I work. I don't have any free time. Like I am always, of course, the book and the audio book and all my self-tape auditions. And then I've got like all the, I have my normal life. I have to like clean the house and like do normal things. I have to like, I don't have a maid or anything. And I'm just like going, oh my God, like when I booked these 2 movies, and if they come through, I'll be fine financially, but I don't know if they will, because it's like, you don't spend your money before it comes in. And I know I'm not the only person in this position, but it's because of COVID that they're put on hold. But again, I'm going to tell you why everything's always in the favor of the very few major companies that have the budget. Now, the independent films, they don't have the budget to comply with all the COVID testing regulations. They can't afford to test everybody every day. They can't afford to hire a COVID supervisor to come and make sure they're following the guidelines. So that's why the first movie that I booked keeps getting postponed. They just don't have the budget to do it. The only ones that are in production are like, the major networks like NBC, Paramount, those companies. And just until like last week, they were considered essential. Why? Because they can afford to be essential. It's like, if you can pay for it, you're essential, which is, it's really not fair, but
no.
They were in really bad shape here. So they finally just put the kibosh on that. But, it's made it really difficult because there's such a shortage of work, at that high end level. And especially since COVID, like they're trying to hire less people. They're trying, So it all sucks. And honestly, back when I first started acting, there was no social media. Okay, I don't want to have to chit chat with people on DM all day long. That's my time. Time is money. It's work. And then I have all these people getting mad at me because, you know, I love this one. Are you mad at me? No, I don't even fucking know you. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, but
You know?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I get those too. They'll send messages on Facebook and on Twitter, and then I won't answer right away because sometimes I just don't see it. And then, are you mad at me?
I'm worried about you. Do you get that one? I do.
Yeah, I get that too.
I didn't hear from you all day. I'm like, I'm going to tell you.
I don't get the worried. I just get, why are you mad at me? Or you think you're too important. And I'm like, no, I've got a million.
Well, dude, that's the thing. You don't reply to them, and then they send you like 20 minutes later, sorry to bother you.
Yeah, and
yeah.
What I get in the rock world.
I like, there's somebody recently, and he's probably watching this show. But I told somebody recently, just email me, like, don't text me because he texts too much. And I use my phone for self-tapes, for podcasts, I said, unless you know that I'm not in the middle of something, please don't text me. And again, this was somebody who, I don't know him personally. It was a business contact sort of person who decided he was more than a business contact and that he had the right to invade my phone all day. And you know what? This is the thing. Maybe they want to like visualize me lying around in my lingerie, eating grapes, waiting for their call, but that's not my life. You know, chances are I've got other things to do.
And I'll tell you what I find is, for some reason, people write me as if I'm music Google. So it'll be like, hey, Mitch, did so-and-so play on this album? And it's just like,
yeah, dude, same thing with me. I post a couple of Eddie Van Halen guitar videos, and then I'm getting DMs saying like, "Hey, Jeremy, do you know if Eddie Van Halen used the flanger secretly on House of Pain?"
Oh,
I'm like, I wasn't there.
How about this? Because, you know, Eric Carr was my boyfriend, and he died 29 years ago, and I have to be the Eric Carr encyclopedia. Now, don't DM me and ask me if he had a big dick or if he was freaking in the sheets. It's completely inappropriate and it's rude. And don't people think that perhaps I don't want to think about that all day? It hurts. It's painful to me. Now, I know when I'm going to do an interview that I'm about to talk about that, so I'm prepared. But I don't want it thrown in my face all day long in DMs. And you know, every little question about him. And anyway, it's just bitch fest day. I should have.
No, but you're right, and you bring up.
I told you I was gonna bitch, though. I was.
Yeah. Hey, Carrie, did Eric Carr like Brazil?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, they like to ask me things that. Never mind. I don't want to get on the Eric subject because then we'll be on it for 2 hours.
For hours. No, but you do bring up an interesting point. When I write about you know, on this day and somebody's passed away, I normally just write they passed away, out of respect, because, you know, sometimes it's a suicide and sometimes it's a drug. And I in my head think the family doesn't want to keep reading about he shot himself in the head or he did. So I go passed away, and then there'll always be some dick that'll write and go, no, you know, he shot his head. I go, yeah, I know.
Oh, you know, he was an addict and he was shooting up, so and he OD'd, bitch.
Me making myself sound old again. I don't care.
I miss the olden
days when I wanted to be an actress. Actors were put on a pedestal and they were unattainable. You didn't get to fucking write to them on social media and invade their DMs all day. Like, you couldn't reach them. You had to write a paper letter with a stamp and hope it got to them. I don't know. I've got a love-hate relationship with that because I've met some super cool people that know, you know, they're respectful.
Yes.
They write the very kind. They're not pushy. Those kinds are okay. But then, you know,
and then you get the dick pics in the DM, and you're just like, I don't have time for this.
You know what? I honestly, I wish I didn't really have to do any of it. You know, I feel like it's such a time sucker, really. And it's like when you have to make, you know, this even as a writer. I mean, you have to make everything look so effortless and so easy, and then you get all these haters that hate you, and, you know, like, just because you're you, and they have no idea like what you're really
going through.
Really,
So
I
Well, it's funny you say that, talking about how you make things look effortless and you make it look so good, but behind the scenes, everybody's fucking struggling to make things as good as they possibly can. In this pandemic, there's been a massive influx of wannabe broadcasters and podcasters. And I cannot wait for all these people to go back to work and they stop saturating the market. And then you could actually let the professionals like myself and Mitch do the interviews and talk to the artists.
Since my book has come out, my manager gets infiltrated with requests for me to do podcasts, and she doesn't listen to podcasts or watch them. And so I had to just take the job away from her. I'm basically like, from now on, don't reply, send it to me, let me research them, because they're all very different. Some of them look like, you're in your mother's basement, with a camera, and, some of them like yourself are very professional. And
because you're also, with your background and who you are, you also don't want to be just getting interviewed by some creepy dude like, hey, so tell me about your titties.
Well, she had that with a woman. It's an excuse to talk to me. Like if they literally use it as an excuse to talk to me and then never air the podcast because they don't really have a podcast. Yeah. And I learned this the hard way, so now I'm very careful.
But that's it. Yeah.
Let me just say one thing, and I'll to wrap up on the websites, because I'm so annoyed with them, but I'm not actually annoyed with them. I'm annoyed with the writers who provide the content and go, "Oh, I saw my name in lights," because by doing that,
well, they're all complicit.
But they devalue. Listen, if I owned the website, I'd do the exact same fucking thing. Why not? If I can make $1 million by using other people, why not? I mean, it sounds horrible, but so do all the writers and would-be podcasters and stuff. Have value, have pride. When you send something off and they say they're going to run it, send them a bill, send them $20, $50, anything, just to say that what we do has value. And it's not just, oh, I see my name on a website. It's fleeting. It goes away.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything. So,
I'll tell you something about, and working in radio, in 2020, 2021 now, geez, radio is, a lot of people say it's a dying industry, and it's not a dying industry. Radio's worst enemy is radio, because they're just so stuck in their ways. You look at podcasts and people that are passionate about their projects, they invest money into, I'm in my house right now. This is my home studio. I went out of my way to buy these
Everyone
2 TVs.
is in their own house right now.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There's a difference between, a guy doing an interview in his basement versus an actual professional who has the resources to do something like this.
Both of you have very cool backgrounds, I have to say. I'm impressed. Both of you, like,
thank you.
Mitch looks like he's in outer space.
I know.
Like,
it's the Ace Frehley thing.
High-end studio. And
well,
I've got like a white
wall.
But at least you have a nice white wall. There's people that would be sitting in their unfinished basements with their freaking, with their fucking punching
Minnesota
bag
Vikings.
They got their laundry hanging on the rack. They got their, their punching bag hanging from the beam. Like, I'm just like, at least people, you have a nice background. But I'm just saying, we've kind of gotten used to this. We've kind of gotten used to this life where it's like you're responsible for everything. We're going to cut as much budget as we can and get as little people to do as much work as possible.
Well, okay. How many people did you cut at your station since the pandemic? Like, percentage wise, 30%, 40% of the? Well,
they laid off like 160 some people.
Which represents what, like 50% of the staff, 30% of the staff?
Well, dude, that's like almost like every person in the office, like from salespeople to web people. The only people that survive
like
for
90% of the staff?
No, I wouldn't say that. Maybe like 80.
Wow.
That's what I would think, because I don't see anybody. I never hear from anybody anymore. The only people that I am aware of being still there are bosses and on air and the web people. They got rid of one of our producers who was the main show producer. So now over the holidays, for example, I would usually go in, have a script writer from the copy department, and
you can do everything yourself.
I'd go record the show with the producer, and he put every package. Now I have to do everything myself, and it's also to my fault that I'm capable of doing all of those things. So I have no choice but to say, okay, I guess I'll do it. But at the same time, we're
for
unionized.
No extra pay. For no extra pay.
With no additional compensation. And the funny thing is that we're unionized. These are union jobs, but now all of a sudden, because we don't have the budget and because I know how to do it, oh, Jeremy, can you just do this for us? Well, no, because that's actually somebody's career. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I should do it for free. This isn't a hobby for me. So it's constantly this give and take of like, I don't want to push back because I don't want them to just say, oh, he's too much of a problem, and I don't want to, you don't want to deal with this, too many headaches. Get somebody else to pay them less and they'll do equally job that he does. I also don't want to lose my job. So they kind of intimidate you into feeling that type of way, which gives you no, like, there's nothing, it gives you no excuse to not do the work. So it's like that in everything. I think at this point, you just
through this pandemic, I think we've all learned something about ourselves. I know I have learned that I'm capable of much more than I thought. When I look back on this 10 months, almost a year now, and look at what I've accomplished, probably more than in any other time frame of my life. I did my book, the audiobook. I now twice launched my father's business, well, our partnership. He's a scientist, and I have a product called Skinny Snacks. And originally, before the pandemic, I was never going to sell it myself on a website. I had deals with stores, 3,000 stores. And then all of a sudden that happened. We have no stores to sell it in anymore. So now it's online, but I rebranded it twice. I don't do that for a living, but I figured out how, and it looks amazing, and I'm proud of it.
And I saw that you mentioned that everybody on Facebook and Twitter writes you and say, hey, can I have a sample of this?
Oh, fuck. I'm so sick of those people. You know what else? No, I know I'm a total bitch, and I don't have PMS. I swear it's not that, so don't say it.
Because Jeremy was going to ask you for a box. No, I'm kidding.
Though, are these people that cry poor, and then they'll write to me and they'll like beg me for, the free Skinny Snacks and my free copy of my book and all this. And then 4 months later, they didn't read my book. 6 months later, they still haven't tried the Skinny Snacks that I sent them. And it's like, dude, if you're not going to appreciate it, then fuck off. Because I was like nice enough to feel bad for you and send it for you. And then you don't even have the respect to, fuck them.
No.
Not even say thank you, or like I even received it. It's like, I can't be so nice anymore, because then I end up getting mad later, like now. So no more Ms. Nice Carrie.
Look at this, 2 interviews with Carrie. The first one I made her cry. This time I've got her upset. We're
perfect.
We're doing so well.
Yeah.
But Man,
you make them cry, I get them aggravated.
Yeah, well,
that's Jeremy's fault. He wasn't here last time.
It's a good combination. Jeremy, any questions about the book, by the way?
Yeah, Carrie, how big is Eric's schlong, and can you send me some Skinny Snacks? No, the book, it's interesting. So have you felt like people have been attacking you on social, saying like, all.
No, I expected that. Actually, I expected haters when I released my book. I said to myself,
I seen a couple of comments online, people saying like, oh, this bitch, she's still holding on to Eric and using him for publicity and all this shit. And I'm like, no, like, this is her life, and
really?
she's just writing. She's writing the story.
Yeah, no, actually, if you read my book, it's really not a book about Eric Carr, number one. Number two, it's a beautiful love story. And if they read it, they might understand the point of the book and where it originated from. It's not a book about Eric Carr. It's not a book about Kiss. He happens, to be a huge part of my heart. And that's what people want to know about. I'll talk about anything you want in the podcasts. You know what? Mitch can tell you my book's not about Eric, but that is what everybody's interested in. Everybody wants to talk about that aspect of my book. Yeah. And I honestly, I haven't seen those same comments. I'm glad I haven't. I don't want to see things like that. But I wouldn't care. I wouldn't let it bother me, because I know who I am. So I just don't care, period. Yeah.
That's good though, because that also helps you kind of heal in the sense as well. Because it's like,
I never did care. I never did give a shit what people like that think. I'm not an insecure person. I know who I am, and I didn't write that book for those people, so they can screw themselves. So the book isn't. I really wrote it for myself to find out who I am, and I'm even stronger now that I wrote it, and stronger than that because I released it and I spoke about it. And the biggest thing I think I got out of that was self-confidence, because once you put everything out there, you tell people who you are, it makes it really difficult for them to tell you who you are.
Well, let me just when we did our interview, you were in the process of doing the audio book. Why then, if you have all the strength and all that, was it so emotional to do the audiobook? Because you broke down, you cried. It was a
I always
struggle.
cry, Mitch. You made me cry in our interview. I cried. This is probably the first podcast I haven't cried in a long time.
Which is funny because people generally cry when they see Jeremy.
Yeah, it's the shock and horror.
Being an actress, my emotions are always accessible to me. So I'm an emotional person, and there's nothing wrong with that. But why was the audiobook difficult? I don't sit around every day of my life reliving, 1983 when I sat on my mother's lap and asked her if she loved me. Like I go walking through every poignant moment. And by the way, because it is my story, it feels different each time I explore it. It's not like I wrote it once and it's out of my system. It's still a part of me. And I feel it in different ways and look at it in different ways. And even though I've read it 1,000 times, it still might trigger something else in me the next time I read it. It's personal. I mean, it's every part of the book is my life. And believe it or not, I still think of things on a daily basis going, oh, well, I could have included this and that. And it's just endless,
Bonus tracks for the audiobook. And the book does also cover, what's the word? I don't want to say struggle, but the relationship with your son and getting him into your life and making sure that he was part of your life. And that was a very difficult.
Making sure my son was part of
Well, because of divorce and all that,
no, I was never divorced. I was left when I was pregnant. I got pregnant. I was doing the movie Rockstar, and the director, Stephen Herrick, was trying to go out with me, and I said no because he was married. And then after the movie ended, and this was like 10 months later or something, he contacted me, asked me out, and my biological clock was ticking. I suppose I was like 32, and I was just ready to settle down, and things happened very quickly. And he said he wanted the baby, and then 5 months into the pregnancy, he just decided to bail and never look back. And my son just turned 19 last week, and he still hasn't looked back. Not one Christmas card, not a phone call, just abandoned me in the pregnancy. And then his child through his, he probably never will contact him since he's gone this long. So
that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. But this is a huge part of my book too. Nobody really asks me about it. They all ask me about Eric and Kiss, but it's extremely, the story is extremely empowering to women. I wish more women would read it. I had to be mother and father, and I raised an amazing rocker. Like he's got great taste in music. He's going to Embry-Riddle. He's in aviation. He's the whole Christmas break here, he's been like sitting around writing his business plan for the airline he's going to launch when he graduates. So
wow.
And I did this all by myself, so I'm proud.
Well, and you did it by yourself, and Jeremy doesn't know this because I have the book and he hasn't borrowed it yet, but she also had to go through what do you call it, DUI stuff while she was pregnant. They sent her to DUI court while she was
I listened to your podcast with her talking about the book, and you were telling that story, and you were kind of like, Carrie, you were saying you were sitting there and all these people sitting there were thinking like, oh, she was drinking while she was pregnant,
staring at me like I got drunk while I was pregnant.
So it was a difficult road
of my life.
Well, it was a difficult period to get through, and look, you've come through perfect. I mean, you're strong, you're vibrant, you wrote a great book, you speak well. So
what kind of airline does your son want to launch? Is he into like commercial airliners and stuff? It's funny because he and I have something in common. I love rock music and I love airplanes. Like I grew up wanting to be an airline pilot for JetBlue. Like in my grade 5, I'm not kidding. Yeah, I was enthralled. I loved JetBlue. I loved their blue chips. I love the way like this flight attendants look. I love the A320s and like the bubbles on the tail fin. Like I thought it was just so cool. So in my grade 5, like science fair project, I did a project on like how airplanes fly and all this stuff. And that was my dream. And when I was in grade 8 or 9, I was really bad at math. And my math teacher said to me, "You'll never be an airline pilot." And that's where
crushed your dream.
That's where my dream just like
My son
crashed.
dropped out of, he lost interest in aviation for a couple of years because I think it was freshman year in high school, they gave him some dumb aptitude test and told him, they told him that he wouldn't be good at it. And it took me 2 years to undo the damage from that test to convince him that it meant nothing.
Yeah.
And then then
That's okay.
No, but that's the worst thing ever. It's like, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And it was just like, all right, I guess my teacher knows best. And I never pursued it.
Tell you, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but in grade 11, I took the, the test of what you're going to become based on your skills. And it came back with 2 results. First one was I was going to be a bus driver. And the second one, a bus driver.
That was actually on there.
That was Well, no, the guidance counselor sat me down and said, we've gone over the results and it says you should look into being a bus driver. And the second one, and you're going to love this, was funeral home director.
Oh, no.
You're making this up.
No, I am not making it up.
Funeral director.
A bus driver and a
whoever did this test,
aptitude test or whatever.
But they wrote it just to fuck with people.
Yeah,
I know. And I looked at the guidance counselor and I remember his name was Mr. Corbett. And I looked at him and I said, really? I said, I'm going to take advice from somebody whose career is guidance counselor in high school. Don't fucking tell me what to do. And I walked out of that office and then I got suspended.
That's
Here
crazy.
I am talking to the #1 DJ in Montreal and Carrie Stevens. So
yeah. Carrie, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Exactly this, talking to us.
I wanted to be Martha Quinn. I wanted to be an MTV VJ or a journalist. Like I wanted to be a rock journalist. I wanted to be Mitch LaFon.
See, it worked out, and so does Jeremy.
It's funny you say that because even Mitch LaFon doesn't want to be Mitch LaFon.
No, I want to be a funeral home director.
Well, if you've ever listened to your podcast, Mitch, it's pretty close.
Hey.
Oh, tish. Thank you.
Well, he did make me cry, so you might not be far off.
Yeah, there you go. So wait, you wanted to be a Martha Quinn, you wanted to be a VJ, Okay, so let me hear. Pretend we're coming out of a video. Do a break and throw to a video. Let's hear your best Martha Quinn.
Yeah, throw to like to white.
Deer in headlights. Okay, we're coming out of a video. You're gonna backsell the video. Hey, that's the latest video from Warrant's Cherry Pie. I'm Carrie Stevens coming up. MTV's Lost Weekend. Don't forget to send your postcards. Like, is that what you wanted to do? Like, you wanted to be like the jock, like the VJ?
I mean, I don't think I can beat your performance.
Well, I do it for a living, so it's like.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I won't try to do that. But I was going to just be so silly that I was going to embarrass myself. So I'm not going to, because, I'm sitting on a Pilates ball, which is, it's a ball. So I was going to bounce and do jump.
Yeah.
See? This is my Pilates ball. It's good for your back.
That's your interview chair.
Oh, hey, just real quick, since we're talking about the back here. You started doing that DDP yoga. That's working out for you?
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me about.
You do DDP yoga? I do DDP yoga too.
Oh well, I just started like the other day, but I swear it. Like I was dying. I was texting with Mitch and I was bitching about my back, dude. And I did the very basic, like something dozen.
The diamond dozen. The diamond dozen.
Yeah, I did that. And my back hasn't been hurting ever since. And it was that simple, like clench your toes and squeeze your thighs and hulk up.
Well, I was just literally telling one of my best buddies about DDP yoga this week. The cool thing about it is that their slogan is, it's not your mama's yoga. So the thing about it is that you're not sitting there like, okay, breathe in, breathe out. Now
I think that's why I liked it. Because I'm kind of, even though I'm very feminine, I'm kind of like a dude in the way, like I'm a rocker chick. Like so that's why I like that yoga. It's not that la la.
Yeah, it's DDP. You literally say, all right, gang, here we go. We're going into the diamond dozen. Let's get it going.
It's cool. It didn't make me want to fall asleep or anything. It energized me.
Yeah, you feel so energized after you do it. And the cool thing is that what it does is it's a full body workout. So you're literally engaging every one of your muscles to burn fat and tone your muscles. And you're using your own body resistance to do it, watching, with a heart rate monitor. And it really is your own body making changes because of your body. And every time I do it, I feel so energized after doing it. So keep it up. And I'm telling you, your back isn't going to hurt at all. Mitch, you should try it.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I need to do it. It was recommended to me because of my back issues, and I recommended it to Carrie.
Yeah, and he didn't do it.
There you go.
He's just passing on the buck.
I need to put some more air in my Pilates ball. You should get one of these too, because what it forces you to do when you sit on the ball is you have to engage your core to sit up straight. So I made a rule for myself since the other day when I talked to you, Mitch. I made a list of things I could do to prevent my back pain. So now I'm not allowed to sit in bed on my computer anymore. I have to sit on this Pilates ball when I sit and work.
There you go.
Hey, Carrie, let me ask you this. Have you ever, with all the roles that you've done with the magazines and everything through your career, have you ever gone and done like the fan expo Wizard World route, like go and do like signings and stuff?
You mean like Glamour Con and all that? Yeah.
Yeah, like the Comic Cons.
Playboy Expo. Once there was a Playboy Expo, I think it was 98, and it was just Playmates, and there was tons of security. So that one was really cool. And I've done a couple Glamour Cons, and I pack up early and leave. I won't ever do one again.
No?
No. I did one Kiss Expo, and actually that was pretty cool. The Glamour Cons attract, the pervy kind of fans, like they're waiting for you in the bathroom when you go in there, they're hiding under the stall. Like, that's why I just said I'm never going to do it again, because that happened to me. So and then, no thanks. But yeah, the Kiss Expo that I did not want to do that because, it was just so uncomfortable with the whole, and actually it ended up being really cool and very healing. And I wrote about that in my book in the second to last chapter. So I won't bore you with it. It's because I wrote it beautifully. So
no, don't ruin it. No,
in conversation.
I want to sell the book. Well, listen, it was so cool to talk to you. This is great. It turned into a bitch fest, and I loved every second of it.
Me too.
Hey, I just figured out my new nickname, the Bouncing Bitch.
The Bouncing Bitch.
The Bouncing Bitch. Tonight on MTV, join the Bouncing Bitch as we play the biggest hits from the 80s. Tonight, Carrie Stevens bounces and plays the biggest videos that you loved. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Carrie, that should be your new thing. Go on Facebook Live and play music videos and pretend you're Martha Quinn bouncing on the ball. That could be a fun thing.
Oh, you know what? How much money? I could do a whole OnlyFans thing. The whole thing is just me bouncing, just in different outfits. Yeah.
Do you ever consider doing the OnlyFans? Do you ever consider doing the OnlyFans thing or anything like that? Or?
I have actually. And no, you're not talking to me.
I created a Patreon. I haven't really announced it yet, but it's there. I'm still working out the kinks and trying to figure out how to do the back end. So when I figure it out, when I feel like I'm proficient, then I'll make announcements. But the OnlyFans, I see a lot of Playmates, and even Amanda Cerny, who's got 3 million followers, Playmate, she's now doing OnlyFans. I'm sure she's making a fortune. And if I don't blame her at all, more power to her. But I don't really see myself doing that because I have a kid now, and he wouldn't judge me, honestly. I don't feel like stripping around the living room on camera. I just it's not where my head is at. I'll figure out something else to do on camera. That.
Would that be weird for your son though, 19? Because that's kind of my brother's 18 and all his friends are always talking about OnlyFans and stuff. Do you think he'd come to you and be like, Mom, you can't be on OnlyFans because all my friends are yo, bro, your mom's on OnlyFans. Cool.
Honestly, if I told my son I was going to make $200,000 a month, he'd say, Mom, do it.
Yeah.
Actually, if I thought I was going to make $200,000 a month, I would stop judging it and I'd fucking do it.
You wouldn't be talking shit.
Yeah.
If I could make 20 to 30 bucks a month on OnlyFans, I would probably do it too.
But somebody I've been reading some celebrities, girls made $2 million in a week on OnlyFans. Okay, go. That's You know,
But you know
Mark
what?
Ronson.
The OnlyFans, you don't even have to really be naked, or like, you know, like it's like there's people on there that, like, there's fashion guys that go on and like show you their.
I looked this up recently because I think we're all home trying to figure out like how to make ends meet, how to make the most of our time, and I saw other people doing it, and I heard that these days it used to be just porn on OnlyFans, but now there's all kinds of different.
It's kind of like
things.
It's like the mainstream Patreon. Like you can go on there and charge $15 a month, and they see your behind the scenes life. Like that's in reality what it is. You don't have to be showing your titties and ass. Like it could just be your life.
That's why I had to choose between. Well, I didn't want to do both Patreon and OnlyFans. Mm-hmm. I thought they were similar, but I went with Patreon because I felt like knowing my history, my background as a playmate, I feel like fans would expect me to do risque things and be disappointed if I didn't. So and once in a while, I do feel like being a little risque. You know, once in a while, I do post something daring and sexy. But it's the state of mind, the mood that I'm in. It's not like I don't feel like, you know, producing that kind of content like all the time.
Yeah.
I guess it's just not who I am.
But does that get to you though? Like, do you get people saying to you, you know, the people follow you on Twitter or stuff like that, you know, with the Playmate background and everything? Like, do you get people hitting you up saying like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I'm following you, Miss Playmate, you know, how come you're not posting, you know, your tits or stuff like that? Like,
no, nobody says anything like that. I mean, I have people say,
like, is there an expectation? That's what I mean.
Clothes, you know, but nothing, only a couple, like not that rude. They're just like, oh, you should do an OnlyFans, you know, but nothing too
rude. Anyway.
Too rude, which is good.
Well, they're probably in the request mailbox that I never look at. That's where I found the guy in the yellow banana underwear. Yeah.
He had a banana in his yellow banana underwear.
Oh my God, you missed my post. I posted it. Yeah, it was like, I'll send it to you. No, I deleted it. I can find it again though.
You know, Carrie, I'll be honest with you. As a guy, like, I don't ever have, you know, tits or vagina sitting in my requested mailbox. It must really suck being a woman.
You want me to send you one? I'll send you one.
That'd be amazing because it'd be just sitting in there and I wouldn't check it. But I'm saying, like, as a woman, it must suck because you're just constantly bombarded. And if you're somewhat attractive, because you're so attractive and beautiful, you must be constantly just
harassed.
It's harassed. Honestly, I don't look. You know, like what was the day, you know, the Capitol building was broken into a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I didn't look at any social media all day, and then I put on Facebook, the first message there was from a fan saying, I don't think that you should be talking about, you know, your feelings about what's going on, you know, in Washington State. And I'm going, huh? So I replied and I said, why are you telling me not to talk about it? I haven't been on social media all day, you know, like, and he's like, oh, I'm just worried about you and concerned for you. I wrote, you know, this is the thing. People live on social media. Like people actually live on social media. Now I need to take entire days where I don't look at it and to recharge my batteries, to get, you know, my head, you know, in the mind space I want it to be, to do some yoga, to do the laundry, to do whatever else I'm doing in my life besides social media. Mm-hmm. And I used to be panicked, like, oh God, I'm going to have like a million posts and messages to catch up to, you know, if I skip a little while. But what I found is, you know what, if you're not on there, people just move on to somebody else. They forget all about you really quick. Even like my good friends, they forget about me very quick if I'm not in their face a lot.
Well, what kind of friend is that? You know, God forbid I don't post something on Twitter for like 20 minutes. Like, oh shit, hey, look, remember Carrie? Hey, she's back. Like, it's just so weird, the world we live in, you know? And I also noticed that, you know, through this pandemic, you kind of realize who your true friends are. You know, the ones.
My circle is and I'm keeping it that way.
I've really trimmed the fat through this pandemic, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. In the beginning, everybody used to want to do Zoom happy hour, and everybody was checking on everybody and sending each other funny things. We were making funny videos, and then it was like, this isn't funny anymore. And then like nobody's texting, no one's talking to each other. I don't talk to too many people anymore.
You know, I'll say this. I used to get a lot of messages like, hey, Mitch, do you know Bon Jovi's in town tonight? Huh? Hey, you heard Def Leppard's coming? None of those people have written me in 9 months.
Hey, Mitch, you going to be at Def Leppard tonight? Oh, can you bring us backstage?
Yeah,
No.
not one of those people have written me in 9 months. And I guarantee when
File
shows
that
open up,
away.
they will be right back there going,
Yeah.
hey, did you see Slayer's in town tonight? Boy, it'd be cool if we went. And I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Man.
Anyway,
Anyways,
thank you.
well,
Thank you, everybody. Let's
let's wrap up. Carrie, this was really cool. It was so cool to finally meet you face to face, as opposed to just being words on a screen on Twitter and stuff. And you're just such a really cool, awesome person, and I really appreciate getting to meet you today. And this was really fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
And of
really
course,
fun.
let's go back to reminding people about the book here.
Yeah, check out the book, Carrie Stevens. It's called Unrated.
Revelations of a Rock and Roll Centerfold, available now.
Wherever books are sold. And
That's
you
right.
can make sure you buy the audiobook, because you'll be able to have Carrie read you a bedtime story every night, gentlemen.
Yeah, I wanted to release the paper version first because the photos mean so much to me. It's really special.
Yeah.
I put tons of photos in it and laid them so carefully to really take you on my journey with me. And so the audiobook won't have that. However, yeah, it's like I'm reading you
A bedtime story.
Well, it's even better, because if people buy the paper book and then they buy the audiobook, you get the best of both worlds. So you can read along with you.
They should buy both.
Yeah, I tried to do the whole book on video recently, and it's a flop. I was going to do that on Patreon, actually. That was my thing. I was going to do a video book, but after doing it, I realized it butchers my book that I put so much work into perfecting it. And my audiobook is very professional sounding, but it's like, how I'm fumbling over my words to talk to you and all that.
Yeah, but
it's kind of like that. And it's just,
all right.
I'm going
Well,
to use little excerpts.
Jeremy
on
will
my
read
social
one
media, but
chapter
not
a
the entire
week
book.
on video and send them to you. Jeremy, I'm gonna send you the book. You're gonna do one chapter a week on video.
But Carrie, you know what you could do, actually? You could just take little segments of the book, and you could read, say
That's
2
what I'm-
pages,
yeah.
put it on Patreon, and then tell a story around that story,
Well, that's kind of what I was going to do on Patreon too. I was going to do like little excerpts that only my members have access to, and then have like a live Q&A type thing. But the more that I thought about it, and I was actually I shot a bunch of stuff for it, and I saw these girls blowing up on OnlyFans, and I'm going, who the fuck do I think I'm kidding? Nobody probably cares unless I'm naked doing it.
Right.
So yeah, I learned this when I tried to be a writer, Mitch, when I tried to go into journalism, and I would post articles that I wrote, and I wouldn't get nobody would read them. But if I put up a picture of me in lingerie, I have like 1,000 likes.
But why wouldn't you take advantage of that, though? If that's what people want, and if it's paying.
Why am I naked reading my book?
Yeah, why not?
I guess I could. I
But
did do some in lingerie.
But you don't want to take away from the fact of the stories and everything, and I totally get that too. So it's like, but that's what I mean. It goes back to guys just being a bunch of creepy fucks that won't support a woman unless she's half naked.
Right. Well, it's the sad truth, though, and I write about this in my book, and I'm still struggling with it because, I would like to say I've overcome it, and the world has changed since I first realized that, my feminine wiles were my power, and as long as I batted my eyes and was all dolled up, then things worked in my favor. When I played the role of what everybody else expected of me, things were easy and things fell into place. And so that's how I became a sex object, and I embraced it. I'm not saying I didn't have a bad life. Nothing horrible happened to me. I enjoyed the perks that went with it.
Yeah.
But as you see, I've accomplished now. I raised a kid. I wrote a book. I've
been in hit TV shows.
Yeah, a lot of things. So I'm a business owner. Like, you would think that at this point in my life, I wouldn't have to sell myself that way.
That's it. We all kind of grow up.
But I
and
do.
Move
That's
on.
the thing. The reality is, I do. The reality is that things have not changed, and I talk about this in the intro of my book about how Oprah Winfrey gave this speech at the Golden Globes. It was 2018, saying that the most powerful thing that we have is our truth and to tell our stories. And I say, I wonder if Oprah would relate to that of a Playboy playmate, because most people don't. Most, feminists don't like us, and men just want us to shut up and spread our legs. That's just the way it is, sad but true. And I just, well, of course, that was just 2018. Things definitely haven't changed since. And just because I wrote a book about it, it didn't change things either. No. My fan base is 92% male. I can see the statistics on the back end. I've had I sell autographed VIP packages for my books on my website. I think I might have 2 women out of hundreds that have bought it. And one I went to high school with her. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that just like jealousy, or is it just
I
because
think of it, part of it is because of me being a playmate. The other part is, believe it or not, like being a rocker chick, because it's a predominantly male industry. So I think between Playboy and the rocker scene, of course there's some women, but it's predominantly male dominated.
Yeah, it's mainly guys.
So, because I'm such a girly girl, like little girls love me. My girls, I'm very girly. But girls they haven't, they don't really. I think if more of them read my book, they would like it and relate to it. They just, like I said, I have not gotten a publicist or tried to go out there and get publicity for it. The KISS fans just have come to me, and it kind of took a life of its own in that direction.
Which is good. The best product is the product that sells itself. At the end of the day, it seems to be working out for you,
Yep, it absolutely has been. So there we go.
Well, there you go. Carrie Stevens, you go follow her on Twitter, Carrie Stevens XO. Go buy the book. The audiobook's coming very soon. Get it wherever books are sold. Safely buy it off Amazon. Buy an autographed copy off her website. Support her. She needs you to buy the book, And she's an awesome lady. So that's awesome too. That always helps.
Thank you.
This has been fun as always. Thank you.
And get a Pilates ball so you can bounce. You can be a bouncing bitch.
Yeah, we'll all be bouncing bitches next time we do this.
That'll be.
Boboli drinking bouncing bitch.
What's a Boboli?
Bought me one of these things. Have you ever had them? They've got like these gummy things in the bottom. It's like a Thai tea with these chewy gummy.
Oh,
I don't know we had that.
Little candies.
That hasn't made it to Canada yet, but listen, I'm gonna go open my OnlyFans right now, because I've gotta.
Mitch, even your wife doesn't want to see you naked. All right, just keep.
Mitch is going to start his own OnlyFans.
That's right.
There's some guys on there too now.
It's gonna be me and the dog. Look at me and the dog.
Oh,
and he's going to be playing Thunder while he dances.
Imagine
Thunder
Mitch
is
just
the greatest band that most people don't know about.
Imagine Mitch just stripping on OnlyFans to Thunder. That's I don't know, man.
Oh, please. I need to sleep tonight. Please don't.
All right, Carrie. Thanks a lot.
Carrie, right? You love Thunder, right?
Mm-hmm. I love Thunder. Thank you so much for turning me on to Thunder.
See?
Mitch made me watch Thunder? All their videos. I had to watch 20.
I know. It was torturous, but she got through it, and she loved it.
He still hasn't.
He's one of those guys that thinks I have nothing better to do than DM him all day about Thunder.
Mitch, can you just leave her alone?
I'll try.
Yeah. She doesn't want to see your yellow banana underwear either. Okay.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Carrie.
Cheers.
You're welcome.